Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Shams Nelson here from Fantastic Anatomy, and today we're going to talk a little bit and do a little drawing of the skull and maybe a couple of the muscles that that are involved with drawing the skull and how they connect to it and stuff. Now, the idea behind Fantastic Anatomy is to learn anatomy without proportion, so you're free to be creative, and if you want to draw your skull like this, with the big eyes, a little nose, like something like that, you can feel free to do that. Today's video lesson, I'm going to be probably sticking a little closer to the proportions of this guy here over here on the left, our friend Mr. Human Skull, and just talking a little bit about how all the parts come together, and you can draw along. I highly suggest you do. So let's get started. So the first thing that I usually like to start with is the eye sockets. And the eye sockets here for this skull they don't have a perfectly round shape, but instead it kind of aims upward a little bit, and it's almost squared but with rounded corners. You see it's close to this, but with the corners rounded more than it is to a perfect circle. So you got two of these, obviously symmetrical to each other, and around like that. And then right in between, where this opens up right here, you've got the nasal cavity, I guess is what that would be called. I'm not going to use like proper terms or anything here. I really don't know them, and so I might make guesses, and if I'm wrong, then you can go ahead and correct me in the comments or whatever, but it's not necessary to know all the names for when you're learning anatomy, but it's definitely, to your advantage. If you want to learn it, then I highly suggest you do. So from here, I like to, give a little space right here on the two sides of the eyes, and as you'll notice, this is actually receding in space, going backwards, but you don't have to think of it that way at this point. You can think of it as the bones, the cheekbones, basically. They stick out a little bit, and then they have this concave area over here. And that's if you feel your face, feeling your face is a great way to kind of reinforce what you're learning. So you can feel how there's like this underneath. I'm doing it right now, so I stopped drawing. But anyways, under here you can feel the recession, and actually that's a great place right here. This is a great acupressure point if you ever have like sinuses, congestion there. Kind of off topic, but it really helps. Also up here, I think these ones are called drilling bamboo. So there's a little bonus. I'm gonna give you that for free because I don't know, why not? Alright, so then you come down and you have the mandible, and it looks like this guy, he looks happy, right? Like something you can tell, so you don't have to make the thing smiling, but if you're looking at the perspective, anything up here is going to curve up like that, anything down there is going to curve down. So that's probably what's happening here. And then you have the mandible connected right around under the eye, comes down, and then comes forward on two sides. And then you got the chin area. This guy looks a little chubby. This probably should be more straight rather than rounded. Comes around here. And then you got the teeth. Which, I mean, if you're just drawing a skull, you'll want to draw the teeth in, sure. It's easy, just make all these. You can be more precise, some of them have like there's a vampire guy, I guess. But I mean, that's something you can just look at this picture and you'll see the teeth are certain shapes and they have different spacings between them. But usually you're not just drawing a skull, you're drawing the skull to draw a face. Then coming from around here, some people start with this big circle and then build a skull off of that. It's another technique, but yeah, if you just start from around, coming in from back here, and have the skulls rounded, I don't like to make it a perfect circle. I like to use, think of it in 3 parts, so the 2 sides and then the top. And when I get more exaggerating, when I exaggerate it more for more fantastical shapes, if you saw in the first video, where I just kind of like go crazy a little bit. Like this is a little too short, but we're just in fantastic anatomy. Like I said, don't concentrate on proportions too much at the beginning. Just kind of the relationship between all these things. And so a little couple other things I'll point out is that the brow ridge up here sticks out a little bit. So the thicker and the more you make this stick out, the more like a Neanderthal he'll look. So like more of like, well, that's not really what I'm going for. Well, at least not in this video. So here you have the basic skull. And let's look at a couple of the muscles and how they attach to the skull. I didn't make this image. Found it. Most important ones are the ones here around the eyes, at least, and this guy right here, and right here around the mouth. Those are the ones that I tend to emphasize, which really kind of bring the face to life and make it so that he doesn't look completely emaciated, you know, like gaunt and skinny, unless you're making like a necromancer or some kind of like scary character like that, or like a starving, you know, probably don't want him to look too skinny. So you can see these muscles right here are really important. They attach over from this side, so when you actually end up drawing the face, you can use these muscles like this, or maybe they'll curve inwards like that. The more outward they curve, the more muscle the face will have. So like a superhero would have them curve outwards like that, while a skinnier dude might have like here, let's see. Skinnier dude might have his kind of curving like that. Okay. Anyways, so that's one important muscle. Another ones are the ones around the eyes. If you watch our earlier video, I put the eyeballs in here like that, and then I usually build the eyes around that so that I have the right width and everything. And they just kind of, it makes it like, the point about learning anatomy is without it, it's easy to lose that grounding in space. With the underlying anatomy, like if you draw the skull and the skeleton first and build the muscles on top of it, even if your proportions are off and all crazy or whatever, it'll still feel like a solid figure. It will still have that kind of like, that thickness and solidity to it. While if you just kind of just go from start from the surface features, a lot of times that can be lost, or you'll like mess up one little part, and that kind of brings down the whole vibe of the picture. So alright, so the muscles here, you got, oh, these are the eyelids, upper eyelids and stuff, but this one right here is kind of where you'd find the droop. And usually it's just, if you're not like tired or old and wrinkly or something like that, not you, your character, and it'll just be like a little line right here. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Maybe even not, depending on how youthful or something, or how tight the skin is. Different races have different amounts to all of these proportions, and you know, their skulls are even different and stuff like that. But then if they're really droopy, it'll follow this all the way around. Like this is like, okay, let's go to the other extreme. You're gonna have like a big droop like that, and you'll even have the under eyelids or one thing, and then you'll have this big droop underneath. In addition to that, it's all droopy. And the third and last little muscle that I would like to point out, I like to do this for the skulls, just to kind of keep in mind, like here's the front area and here's the part receding in the back. So last thing I'm going to point out is this little muscle right here. I love this. At the ends of the mouth, you can see like there's a little bit, I guess all these muscles are connecting there. So, and it tends to dip right where the sides of the mouth, the corners, tend to dip down. So if you have, I don't know if this is going to work out. Let me erase this so that we can have a more fresh start. You know, something like that. you have to experiment to get, to get the feel for how much you like it. Sometimes it's not, like this makes them look a little, I don't know, something. But yeah, so I think those are most of the tips that I wanted to share with you guys about the skull. And I'll just draw a little more so you can get a feel for how this might all come together when you finish it up. I like to shade this part right here. Guy's got a big chin. Jay Leno or something. This part right here, it dips under, and then you've got also here. There's another part where it's dipping down a little bit. Sometimes I'll just do something like that. And the ears, I guess this isn't part of the skull, but just to say real quick, usually go from the bottom of the nose to about the top of the eyebrows. Alright, I hope this has been helpful, and if you like this video and you want to see more, go ahead and click like and subscribe, and there'll be more to come. And peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.